Hey everyone, just to warn you, I'm going to be dropping some pretty big Steven Universe spoilers up until the end of the episode Legs from Here to Homeworld in like a few seconds, so if you don't want any of that, click away from this video or pause it or do whatever before this timer reaches 0. Oh geez, it's basically already there, isn't it? So, White Diamond's pretty terrifying, huh? After years, yes, seriously, years of theories and speculation towards the true nature of the most mysterious diamond, we've finally been given our answer in the episode Legs from Here to Homeworld, where the crystal gems and the diamonds took off to Homeworld together in one of the most awkward space flights ever. Once arriving, Steven was immediately spirited away to meet White Diamond, who even Yellow and Blue Diamond seemed intimidated by. And we saw why just a few moments later because, geez, something about her is just unsettling. And where there are questions, there are bound to be theories, which is exactly what we saw. And we came across a theory that was so tantalizing that we just had to talk about it today. I'm Jacob with Channel Frederator, and today we're diving into the atmosphere of Steven Universe's broken homeworld to examine the question, did White Diamond create the other diamonds from herself? This is a theory that was brought to our attention that was originally posted by this Reddit user on the Steven Universe subreddit. I tried pronouncing it like 6 different times earlier, but none of them sounded right, but this is the name. And the theory is pretty enticing, so what is it that they pointed out? This theory seems to run on the preconception that White Diamond is the symbol of all colors combined, like we would see when all of the wavelengths of the visible light spectrum would converge. Hell, some people even had theories that White Diamond was the fusion of all of the other diamonds. You know, people like me up until that last episode, but whatever, I'm past that. I was kinda right about Pearl shattering Pink Diamond and Pink Diamond being the original founder of the rebellion anyway, so whatever, I'm over it. But this Redditor takes this presupposition and then turns it on its head by suggesting that White Diamond isn't the combination of all colors, but the lack of any color. White Diamond might have had color to her at some point, but it has all since vanished. They support this by saying that White Diamond's design isn't truly white, as we would assume the combined color spectrum would form. I mean, firstly, her facial features are black, but most importantly, her design incorporates grayscale elements as well. They go on to explain that most digital printers operate on the CMYK color model, which includes the colors cyan, magenta, and yellow, or in more general terms, blue, pink, and well, yellow. Using this idea that these 3 colors combine to form a whole, this theory suggests that White Diamond created the other 3 diamonds by removing aspects of her own person and then placing them into other beings, which would explain why the diamonds have such wildly different personalities. Blue might represent White Diamond's sorrow, yellow her anger, her force, and pink her sense of empathy. This would in turn leave White Diamond much more emotionally distant, considering she now lacks the ability to feel these emotions herself. She's essentially an empty shell, which would explain why she's so off-putting in her big debut scene. And I say that as a compliment. I'm not about to trash 2-time Tony Award winner Christine Ebersol's acting ability. So this separation of emotions sounds like some sort of super compartmentalization technique, which I can't possibly imagine would be healthy. It's like that episode of Teen Titans where Cyborg and Beast Boy run into manifestations of all of Raven's different personality traits. Some people in the comments of this theory even went so far to suggest that Pink Diamond might be so small because White Diamond just didn't have that much empathy to give. And this idea of fracturing oneself is supported by White Diamond's cracked pearl and Homeworld's general state of, let's generously call it, disrepair. This idea should sound pretty familiar to us because it's something that's been ever present in the show, but not in the exact way that I described. This ability to fragment oneself into smaller beings is basically the opposite of fusion, which is a pretty important aspect of Steven Universe. And the opposite of fusion would be fission, the process of fragmenting or splitting something into 2 or more parts. But if White Diamond did create the diamonds, and presumably all other gems by proxy, through this technique, it would explain why this fast fusion is even possible within the gems. Their creation was facilitated by essentially the opposite process. Another point the theory makes is that this could also be seen as an explanation for why the gems infest planets in the way they do when they create kindergartens, dropping in, draining the surrounding area of all life and color, and then swiftly moving on when the area served its purpose. So to recap, this theory says that White Diamond does not represent a full color or light spectrum, but a complete lack of one. The theory then states that if yellow, blue, and pink diamond were to all fuse and form a full spectrum, then they might also form a white diamond, only this one would be a white diamond comprised of all colors as opposed to the empty shell that is their creator. The combination of not just physical form, but experiences versus complete nothingness. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. I want to say up front, I love this idea. I'm a sucker for yin and yang stuff like this. But in any case, let's pick this apart and see what we can glean from this idea. Firstly, the connection to printer ink seems out of place since it kinda comes out of nowhere. It feels like a bit of a stretch to just find another collection of commonly occurring colors that are close to our diamonds. Sure, if all of the gem colors fuse to form a being, maybe it would come out white. But that's provided we're talking about the visible light spectrum, not ink. If we stick with the CMYK printer color model, you might have noticed that I never pointed out what the K actually stands for. And that's because when cyan, magenta, and yellow ink combine, they don't form white. They form black. A different physical outcome, but we would still have that light versus dark relationship between the two eventual super beings. If we were to continue down this line of logic, we could guess that white diamond might have originally been black diamond, but since draining herself and losing color, she's become white diamond. But that's just a guess based on a lot of conjecture and assumptions that we're just kind of piling onto each other without any sort of supporting evidence. Granted, finding any evidence is gonna be difficult since we've seen white diamond for all of, what, like 26 seconds so far? Here's another big thing that I want to throw out there. While it's true that right now white diamond seems a little emotionally bankrupt, all of the diamonds, including white diamond, are a lot more emotionally complex than this theory gives them credit for. Yellow and blue diamond have on multiple occasions shown facets of their personalities that don't exactly line up with the idea that they were crafted out of one core emotion, like forcefulness or sorrow, especially in the last few episodes. Pink diamond's a little trickier to nail down, but we have seen her display moments of being a total brat before she got her colony. And then there's white diamond herself. One of the cornerstones of this theory is her cold emptiness, but the amount of fear that yellow and blue diamond have for her says more than anything else ever could. Yellow and blue diamond even mention that white diamond has a persistent temper that takes a while to cool down. Not exactly a description befitting of someone who's let go of their emotional tethers. Besides, white diamond's off-putting attitude at the end of the episode could be read another way. This might sound like a pretty surface read, but White's tone of voice plus the refusal to let Pink Diamond speak for herself makes her sound a lot like a mother scolding her child. I'm sure a lot of us have had this sort of talk with their moms, right? Through that entire scene, all I could read from it was that this was one of the most epic I'm not mad, just disappointed lectures in history. White Diamond even sent Steven, or Pink Diamond I guess, to her room after the exchange. I mean, it could just as well be a prison, but the idea that White Diamond sent Pink Diamond to her room is pretty hilarious to me, and it's my headcanon until I'm proven otherwise. And it would make sense in this context since Pink Diamond is supposedly younger than the other two diamonds. I don't think it's ever said that she actually is the youngest, but there is enough context to come to that conclusion. Another thing that this theory doesn't address is that pretty much every gem we've seen in Steven Universe is a naturally occurring precious stone of some form or another. And white diamonds, as well as other colored diamonds, are certainly no exception. I mean, yeah, diamonds as they're usually portrayed do have a white color to them, and white diamonds are generally the ones that are the most sought out, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Diamond quality is generally rated through the 4 C's: cut, carat, clarity, and the one we're talking about today, color. And the vast majority of diamonds that are mined have a color that ranges from colorless, or white, to more of a yellow diamond. Standard white diamonds are basically super concentrated carbon, but yellow diamonds are caused by the additional presence of nitrogen that absorbs blue light, leaving yellow as the predominant color. Blue diamonds, which you may recognize from such prized possessions as the Hope Diamond, are a lot like the classic white diamonds that we know of already. But the reason blue diamonds have this color is because they contain trace amounts of the element boron within their structure, which contaminates the hue and leaves it blue. As for pink diamonds, they also occur naturally, just as any other fancy color diamonds. That is the actual name for diamonds that are fancy colors. It's very imaginative. But what gives pink diamonds their color? Well, no one really knows, but there are theories. The prevailing one right now being that these diamonds undergo tremendous additional pressure while they're being formed, as opposed to regular white diamonds. Pink diamonds, as well as any other colored diamond, can also be made artificially, but they're worth significantly less if they're made that way. So all 4 diamonds in the Great Diamond Authority are all variants of the same base, that of a clear white diamond. And this obviously supports the idea that all of the other diamonds are derivative of white diamond. But on the other hand, all of the other diamonds in the Authority actually have more elements or outside forces applied to them compared to white diamonds, not less. Which of course hurts the idea that they were all made by splintering a white diamond. But look, I understand that applying real-world logic to Steven Universe isn't gonna be the best indicator of the gems in this show. After all, Homeworld gem and anatomy and biology is probably a whole lot different than what we know, considering they're you know, alive. And besides, through all of this, we've ignored the pretty massive wild card of incorporating Steven into this massive multi-diamond fusion. Some people in the original Reddit thread for this theory suggested that incorporating organic elements into the fusion, i.e. Steven, might result in the final form of black coal, still possessing the base of carbon like the other diamonds, but adding a bunch of other materials as well, like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, not to mention all the other added organic material as well. But let's move away from the actual elemental makeup of these space rocks. If we stick with the whole fusion-fission idea that this theory has going for it, that brings up an interesting point. Homeworld is very strict when it comes to fusing practices. Different gems are essentially forbidden from it. Fusing is only meant to occur between gems that are identical. If blue, yellow, and pink diamond all fuse to form a white diamond, or the anti-white diamond, what would that say about the true nature of fusion? Is it different because these are all technically diamonds fusing to form another diamond? Or would this be just as unprecedented and scandalous as Ruby and Sapphire's fusion into garnet? If it's the latter, I mean, that would mean that white diamond is super corrupt for keeping this a secret from the Homeworld gems for however long they've been around. There wouldn't be much reason to suppress this other than to stop the possibility of the right gems fusing to form a gem powerful enough to overthrow the diamonds, or more specifically, white diamond. Like I said before, all of the gems in the show are actual gemstones. It's not like any of the fusions we've seen are some other unnatural creation, so why else stifle the act of creating more gem types that might help you in developing your civilization? Other than to ensure that you maintain your power, I mean. And then there's the discussion of the diamond's giant Megazord spaceship, which can also be interpreted in a lot of different ways, so I'm going to be dropping some personal speculation here. If the idea is that blue, yellow, and pink diamond could all combine to form a cohesive whole, why don't their ships form a full being here? What's more, it looks like White Diamond's ship might form the head and the torso of the final body, so you could interpret this in a couple of different ways here. Either A, the diamonds are all of equal standing, each controlling a vital part of the ship's body and symbolically the governing body of Homeworld, or you could read it as White Diamond being the brains of the operation, with the other diamonds serving as conduits for her thoughts and demands, which would be why they manipulate the limbs. They are literally White Diamond's reach across the stars. Of these two interpretations, I feel like the one that would make the most sense with the theory of yellow, blue, and pink being the creations of White Diamond would be that second one. But symbolically, this would still imply that the three lesser diamonds still need somebody to guide them and make decisions for them, which kind of hurts the idea that they could all combine to form a super white diamond that's on par with the original themselves. Though it's worth mentioning that Steven could very well be that fourth piece of the puzzle there. Okay, so we've been kind of jumping around this episode. Some parts of the theory sound pretty awesome, and some other parts sound like they might need some work, but like I said before, that's to be expected when we're talking about a character who's been on screen for literally less than a minute so far. White Diamond is clearly the most imposing force we've seen, and are probably going to see through all of Steven Universe, with the possible exception of Onion. And as many holes as you could poke into this theory, I refuse to admit that it's not plausible because it would fit thematically with the show. A huge part of Steven Universe's message is that we are a combination of our individual traits along with our experiences, both of ourselves and with the people in our lives that we cherish. Steven is both his mother's gem and the sum of his own experiences. Sapphire and Ruby don't just work because of who they are when they're apart, but through the way they support each other in their relationship. For the main and most likely final antagonist of the show, I can't think of a better being than the complete antithesis to all of that. One who believes that our value comes from the individual parts that make up the self, and nothing else. Homeworld's attitude towards fusion already supports this, shunning any gems that fuse with anyone other than exact carbon copies of themselves. So despite all of the picking apart we've done today, on the plausibility meter, I'm still gonna rate the conspiracy of White Diamond having created the other diamonds in her image 3.5 crystal gems in formal wear out of 5. Real talk, I wish that I could rock a suit half as well as Amethyst did at the wedding. But what do you think? Do you think that White Diamond fractured herself to create the other diamonds? Let us know in the comments, and also let us know of any theories that you want us to cover later on. And of course, like the video, subscribe to Channel Frederator. Once again, I'm Jacob, and I'm sure you know this by now, but Frederator loves you.